Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mattel Jurassic World review. Today we're taking a look at the new Camp Cretaceous Attack Pack Proceratosaurus. This new Attack Pack wave is currently being found at Walmarts across the US, but at the time of this review, these new figures are not ringing up at the register. I already knew this information when I went on the hunt for these figures, so I just took a picture of the price tag on the shelf, showed it to someone at self-checkout, and they rung the figures up for me easily. But I have heard from other people that some Walmarts are just refusing sales of these items because they're not in the system. Whatever, I guess they don't want our money, so definitely take that into consideration while you're on the hunt for these figures. So let's just go over the packaging really quick. Comes in the Camp Cretaceous style packaging that we've been seeing a lot lately. Actually, pretty much every new figure coming out is in the Camp Cretaceous packaging. That's because Season 3 is premiering next month. Got the Netflix logo up here. Toro the Carnotaurus, some of the kids on the front of the packaging. And then turning it around, you get a picture of the other figures in this wave. The Troodon is making another appearance. That's good news for people that missed out on this figure in the last wave. The new repainted Solaris, the Proceratosaurus, and Bumpy the Ankylosaurus. I think it's been like 4 waves in a row that Bumpy has been in. So enough about the packaging. Let's crack this figure open and take a closer look. So let's start with a nice 360-degree view of this new Proceratosaurus. We've seen this figure repainted a few times in the line already, but I have to say, this is my favorite color scheme of the few Proceratosaurus figures we already have. The main body is a dark navy blue color. Think of this dark brown markings along the back and top of the head, highlighted by an orange stripe. Then you have some nice cream-colored paint for underneath the throat and belly. My only complaint about the paint scheme is I just wish the nose horn was a different color instead of just being brown. Like the top of the head, either white or red would have worked for me. But all in all, I think it's a pretty decent repaint. The line's been very repaint heavy as of late, but every once in a while Mattel will give us a really cool repaint that makes you want to pick up multiples of the same figure. Let's just do a couple quick measurements. This figure is 6 inches long from the tip of the snout to the tip of that very small tail, and just over 3 inches tall. So Proceratosaurus in real life was just under 10 feet long. So with those measurements, I'll put this figure somewhere in the 120 scale range. So let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with the head sculpt. You can see the nose horn is clearly sculpted in right here. The eyes are painted yellow with a black pupil. The teeth are painted in off-white color. The bottom jaw is cast in a cream-colored plastic. And then inside the mouth, you can see the tongue is sculpted and painted with pink paint. You got a little bit of pink paint for the gums right here. The top of the mouth is not painted, it's just that dark navy blue color. Then you got that nice orange stripe that goes over the crest above the eyes. You can see those brow markings on top of the head, along with some nice fine scale detail. And that brow marking goes to just about the base of the tail, and then going down to the body, you can see some large and small scales sculpted in, some really large scales along the thighs, going down to the hands. The wrists are kind of like half pronated. The hand claws are not painted in, but you do get some nice details on the fingers. And then turn the figure over, you can see that cream colored paint for underneath the throat and the belly region. And you'll notice I have some poster tack on the foot of this figure. I'm having a hard time keeping this figure standing, so just for this review, I had to kind of work something so this figure didn't keep falling over every 5 seconds. And let's turn it back over, and here is the scan code for those of you that want to scan it into the fax app. The toe claws are not painted in, which is pretty typical for a lot of figures in the line. And then getting down to the tail, you have a very small tail. I always thought of the proportionates on this figure. It almost looks like a juvenile. You got the oversized head, feet, and really short tail. So yeah, it's definitely a very interesting sculpt. Like I always say, these Jurassic World figures are not meant to be accurate in the slightest, but they definitely do have a charm all their own. Moving on to articulation, this figure does have basic articulation. The mouth can open and close pretty flush. The arms can move forwards and backwards. Same thing with the hind feet, they can move backwards and forwards about that far. And then you just have some tail articulation. This articulation joint on the tail is pretty pointless. I just wish Mattel would just give the tails like a little bit of a hinge joint so you could swing the tail from side to side. Like I said, this is pretty pointless articulation joint. So that'll do it for articulation. Let's move on to comparisons. Alright, moving on with comparisons. First up, here it is with John Hammond. And next up, here it is with its wave mate, the repainted Solaris, which doesn't want to stand. There we go. And next up, here it is with the Attack Pack Troodon. Like I said, this figure is making another appearance in the wave with this Proceratosaurus. And whoops. And next up, here it is with the new Savage Strike Monolophosaurus. And next up, here it is with the new Soundstrike Sinoceratops. And lastly, here it is with some of the other Proceratosaurs in the line. Here it is with the battle damage one. Here it is with the original Fallen Kingdom Proceratosaur. And here it is with the Dino Rivals version. So yeah, definitely have some nice color variety among the Proceratosaurs in the line. The battle damage one is definitely the best sculpt. The sculpt is slightly different than the attack pack. You actually do have arms that can swing in and out, and you actually do have articulation joint for the head right here. So I really hope they retool this battle damage mold for the main line. And speaking of this battle damage Proceratosaurus, it's such a shame that Walmart does not want to support their own exclusive line. This figure, the Monolophosaurus, and a few others like the Albertosaurus 2.0, never showed up in the US, and Walmart has basically not supported the line in like a year and a half. But now they're bringing it back, and what do we get? Our 700 T-Rex figure, which is just absolutely crazy to me. So yeah, if you can't tell, I'm a little salty how Walmart's been handling the battle damage line, and I'm sure a lot of people agree with me. So final thoughts on this new figure. I really like the color scheme on this new repaint compared to the other Proceratosaurs that came before it. Really like the dark blue, orange, and brown on it. Those colors really appeal to me. So yeah, it's a good repaint in my eyes. I know I've been a little critical of Mattel being a little bit repaint happy as of late, but we have to remember Dominion was supposed to come out a couple months from now, but Universal moved it to next year, so Mattel kind of had to scramble and keep the line going. So we're going to have to deal with a lot of repaints for the time being. And like I said at the beginning of the review, this wave is currently being found at Walmarts across the US. So that would do it for the review. As always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.